asked everything, though, as far as like announcements, or anything like that. Hi, Hannah.
Hi.
Hi.
I shouted out Kiana on the team page, but I just loved her posts. It was so simple and so powerful.
Cute.
I loved it.
Thank you. Hannah, I'm glad you got on. I was literally just about to shout you out because you finished your first program as a coach and you made your coming out post, and I'm just so excited for you.
Me too. Thank you so much. I can't believe it's already over. I feel like it was like 2 weeks, not 6.
For real. Yeah. Flies by when you're having fun, girl.
Definitely. I'm starting bar tomorrow morning.
Oh, yay. That'll be really awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to say first really fast before I forget, just like a little social media tip. So Kiana's post was a really good one and it was really powerful. That post was actually, I'm assuming you got that quote from that picture. It like had the quote on the picture. And so what she did was she took the quote from the picture and put it in her status and then posted a picture of her face and made it like her. Because that was like I don't know what you'd call it, a like meme or whatever. It had that quote. And so instead of just reposting that post, she took it, put her face on it and made it like her. Hi, Harley. So just a little tip on like, if you see a
Mama?
that you see is like super powerful or whatever, just put your face on it. You can cite who said it if you want to, but yeah, that was because it was super powerful as opposed to her just resharing it.
Yeah, definitely.
But
I also wanted to add, I posted that in particular. I saw Amanda Roberts post that meme, and it really spoke to me because, like, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, and I felt like I wanted to acknowledge it publicly, but I also don't feel like it was overly controversial, and it just really felt like it was from my heart because it's true.
Yeah.
I do love, and I love to love, and it's true. If we can love, we can hate.
Definitely.
I wanted to shout out Kiana and Chrissy both for hitting Success Club 10 last month. That was super cool. You guys both pushed really hard and like leveled up really hard for that. And then that was really exciting. And then Amanda Moore pushed really hard to even get on the Success Club board, which was a really big deal. I know you went through a lot last month, so I'm just really proud of you. And I just wanted to say that. And I wanted to welcome Cheyenne Martinez. This is her first team call, so welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Excited to have you here. Alicia also hit Success Club, but she's on the phone, but I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm actually just going to hand it over to Chrissy and let her take over from here. If you guys are not, if you guys don't have anything to say, if you want to mute yourself, that'd be cool. That way, nobody echoes.
So, like I just put in the comments,
I just wanted to say something real quick. Go ahead. It's not my phone. It's actually my speaker. I can't hear you guys. So I'm using my Bluetooth speaker to hear you guys.
That is no excuses right there.
Love it. Anyway, are you good? Okay. Janelle is here. This is her first call as a coach. I have been working with Janelle for 5 years. She's one of my very first challengers. She has been one of my most challenging challengers. And she has never given up on herself. And she actually would go months without talking to me because I would say something that would piss her off. And then she just had the, moment to herself, and she'd come back. And as she grew in her journey, her time between when I would piss her off and when she would come back to reality was less and less and less, and she does it on her own now. So it is my honor to introduce my friend and finally my coach, Janell, to share whatever it is she's going to share, but it's going to touch your heart.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Chrissy. And thank you for sticking by me through these 5 years. Oh my gosh. It has been an adventure for sure. So those of you who don't know me, I'm Janell Moore, and I just recently, yes, became a coach, but I have been friends with Chrissy for I don't know how many years. She at first was my now ex-husband's boss, and we'll get into that in a minute, but and then we just became good friends, and then it just developed this great friendship because of some things that happened basically over this past year. And if it wasn't for her, honestly, and this group, I don't know where I'd be at today. So tonight I want to talk about, well, a little bit more about me too. I do life coaching, and I am a mental health counselor, but I don't want, the only reason I'm telling you that, but I don't want that to be something that holds anybody back, because I don't know all my shit either. So, and you don't have to be trained and all this to be a coach. You don't have to be, you don't have to have my education background to be a coach. Because honestly, these girls here probably know more in self-care than I would probably ever, because that's like their life. And, you know, I might know how to counsel somebody, but like being in this particular business, and this is my daughter. 1 second. What? Okay, well, stay away from the bee. All right. Okay. Well, I'm on call, so hold on. Okay.
Can't you just come outside?
No, I'm not coming outside. Okay. So being this type of coach and getting through this, and so I just don't want that to let it stop you, because it's just so much more. It's being with these people have taught me so much more than I have ever learned in all the degrees that I have. So this is awesome. So tonight I want to talk about resiliency. And I really never thought of myself as being a resilient person until basically these last couple months, because it's been told to me a couple times. I was like, oh, I guess, yeah, I'm a really resilient person. And honestly, I don't know how I became that way. I think it's just I went through a lot in my life. And I wanted to share a little bit about my story tonight. I don't have time to share it all, because it's pretty deep as far as going back into my history. But I wanted to start basically, I wanted to give you a little bit about 2018. In 2018, I lost my aunt in September, and we also had our first suicide on our campus, college campus, and we lost 2 other people too. So there was 3 deaths, plus my aunt passed, and it was super hard. So that happened in September 2018. So then 2019 came around, and I'm sorry you're having a bad day, honey. Okay, well, why don't you go in there and take care of yourself and watch something and dry off. Okay. I'm sorry that you don't like the bugs. She doesn't like the bugs. She was outside playing in the pool. So anyway, in 2019 is the first, I guess I would say, was when my world started crumbling and down around me. I didn't realize that it was doing that. I just was like, oh, this is what's going on. I had been in a flood before. And Chrissy's probably mentioned something about the flood if you guys been following. There's a huge flood in Missouri, Nebraska area, and across pretty much that spans of the United States right there, where all the rivers and lakes were flooded. Okay, I think there's some in that. basket in there. Can you dump that basket out and you can get the towel? So what happened was I live across the river from my job. It only takes me 25 minutes to get to my job, that my full-time mental health counselor job, and that turned into 4.5 hours. 4.5 hour drive to get over there because of the flood. And I was like, it really didn't dawn on me until like, oh crap, what am I going to do? I still have to work, and I still have to provide for my family, which I'm the breadwinner of my family. And I was like, I gotta be able to get to work. So I had not been away from my daughter, who is my flipping world, who's over here, as you can hear her talking. What, honey?
And I'm so mad at those dogs.
Okay.
This is the worst day for me.
Okay, it's not that bad. Okay, it's not that bad. But it was really hard because I had postpartum depression with her, and it was really hard to be away from her. And anyway, I ended up having to stay away for 6 weeks. Luckily enough, in June, I was off for my contract's only a 10-month contract, so I was off in June and part of July. And my boss was able to work with me. But having to drive that far and seeing the devastation and being away from my daughter, like, there was a point that I was over there, and this was like the start of my journey, like really, really the start of me just completely folding over to God and to my support system and being like, you need to do something. You can sit here and you can be a victim, or you can be a survivor, and you can lift yourself up and make this into something, even though you have to be away from your family, or you can be depressed and angry. And I didn't want to do that. I was like, I can't do that. I cannot be sitting here being depressed and angry and be a victim to this. And so I contacted Chrissy, and I stayed with her a few nights. I stayed with some other people too. I just didn't want to be like a burden on them, even though they were like, no, you're not a burden, and just like me, if people came to me needing something because they're in this situation, I'd be like, sure, I can help you out for a while, but we tend to do that. We tend to feel like we're a burden on other people, even though we'll give them the world too. So that's a huge thing, like, to be able to ask for help, even though you don't want to, even though you don't want to be that burden. So, and that's part of resiliency. But anyway, so I prayed and I unfolded, and I got up and I said, I got to do something different. And so I started working out. I started going to Chrissy's house every morning at flipping 5 a.m. in the morning. And she was like, let's do this. And I was like, yeah, like, I need to do something. And the emotional piece, I also was talking to a counselor at the time anyway, but the emotional piece that I got from working out and like managing that emotion through there, that was like a huge part of how I dealt through that time. Well, when I finally was able to take off the summer, I kept doing it. I kept having contact with her. I kept making sure that I was showing up for things. There was times that I, fell off for like, I don't know, a week, maybe at the most at that time. And then I would get back on and do what I had to do, just, give my body a rest. I had been working on my eating habits for almost 2 years before then. And they're a lot better than they were. I still fall on chocolate every once in a while, but anyway, so I continued. And then I started having relationship issues. We had some relationship kind of issues for a little while, but they had become greatly and more intense. My ex-husband now would say to me, like, you're going to lose all that weight and you're going to leave me. He would not be supportive. He would say derogatory things just because I was choosing to do self-care, and he did not like it. He did not like that I was doing those things. So he started being gone a lot. He started having an emotional affair with his boss. And then as I'm continuing to push play and I'm continuing to show up for myself every day, even though these things are going on. And then in October, he was basically not even remotely talking to me at this point, and basically wouldn't tell me where he'd be. He'd be gone on hours of the night. And that's what happened. On December 5th, he told me that he was leaving me and he hadn't loved me for 3 years. So that was a shock, not only to me, but it was a shock to his whole family, because we really did have a pretty good marriage for the most part. We didn't fight that much. We did things together, you know, like I'm learning more and more as time goes by how much control he had over me that I didn't realize. And that's a whole different story in itself. But so that December 5th, that happened. Let me back up for a minute because I almost forgot this part. Before December 5th, in August, I had a grandson, and my grandson and my older son that's 21 now, and his girlfriend all came to live with us because they couldn't stay where they were at because there were some other problems there. And so they all came to live with us. And so I had a new grandson. My son came to live with us and his girlfriend. We're all in this small house that's, you know, like 1,400 square feet. We're trying to all fit in this 3-bedroom house. There's 7 of us. So this is interesting. So anyway, when my ex-husband decided to leave, that brought up extreme amounts of emotional issues for me, and it also brought up re-triggering my son's past, because there was some stuff in the past that happened to him regarding his father. So when that happened, I had about a week of depression, and I told myself, I still can't do that. I still can't stay down like this. I need to pick. I literally fell over at one point because I wasn't even drinking water. I was so depressed. But it was a week. It literally was a week, and I started pushing play again. I started talking to Chrissy again. Of course, she was talking to me through this whole thing too, as things went on. And so, it's okay, honey. It's just a bug. It's okay. So then January came around. January was really hard. My ex tried to get back with me. I had some moments of relapse of myself, of being with him, and I was just a mess. But I was still working on myself. I was still doing self-care. I was just trying to find out where I needed to be in my life. So then I decided, I can't do this. You hurt me too much, and I can't do this. So the next thing that happened was my grandmother passed away.
What does that say?
In January. And January, I also filed for divorce.
What does that say?
This is Alicia's iPhone. And then on February 6th, we had my grandmother's funeral, and the divorce was finalized on that day, and I had to go to court on the same day. And then February 13th. Okay, you can do that. February 13th. I know the date now because my son tells me, but that's when he started using methamphetamines because he couldn't deal with the emotional distress that he had. I ended up having to have my son leave our house, and because he was dealing drugs and using meth, and that was super hard. And while he was out, he was at a place that was not good for him. He ended up doing something that was terribly bad, and is looking up to 15 years in prison. So since then, he has been in treatment, and actually I'm getting ready to pick him up tomorrow. So I wanted to kind of give you a backstory on my year, to kind of help you see the definition of resiliency as it is for me. I honestly didn't, like I said, I didn't think that I was a resilient person, but being through the things that I've been through and being able to bounce back where I am today and not giving up on myself, absolutely. I have complete belief that I am a resilient person at this point. And it's been a roller coaster. And honestly, I don't think that anybody should have to go through as many things that I've had to go through in 1 year and honestly be able to get out of bed. As a mental health counselor, I don't think anybody should be able to get out of bed after going through what I went through. But it's because of my resiliency that's made the difference. And I don't want anybody to believe that they're not a resilient person, because you can be a resilient person. It's just the way you change the reframe of your mind. You're constantly working on your mindset in here, right? That's what we're working on. We're constantly working on changing that and looking at it differently and being a survivor instead of a victim. And that was one of the things, because I was like, okay, let me look at what the characteristics are of resiliency. For one, it's the ability to bounce back, to basically be elastic, take all this stuff and then bounce back quickly to being what you need to be for yourself or your family or whatever. Resilient people have a sense of control. And it's not that you control anything that's happening around you, but you have a sense that you can control at least what your reactions are to that. And if you can control those reactions and you can problem solve what's going on around you, you can make it the best situation possible. When the flood happened, I totally could have been that victim. I could have been some of those people that were having a fit and complaining and not wanting to drive 4.5 hours. And I could have been what my ex-husband told me. He was like, you can't ever leave again because we can't handle you being gone. That was horrible for me to feel that. And I could have totally been that victim, but I wasn't, because I knew that wasn't going to help me. I knew being a victim of something was not going to help me. And another characteristic of a resilient person is being the survivor and not the victim. And when you start doing that, it changes your whole entire world. When you start figuring out different things and a different way to process information in your mind and being like, I can do this. It doesn't matter what life's throwing at me. I can be that person. The other thing is social connections. If it wasn't for the people on this group, if it wasn't for Chrissy, if it wasn't for Haley, if it wasn't for me reaching out and asking for help, getting my counselor, talking to my family, being around those social connections, I would have faltered. I wouldn't have been able to get through the things that I gotten through. And I am so much stronger from everything that I've been through. And there's a whole bunch more from my history that I'm not even getting into. This is just 1 year. But I could be that person that goes out and doesn't do anything. I could eat every single chocolate bar and gain 100 pounds. I could be that complainer that doesn't want to do anything for themselves because of all these things that happened to me. But I'm not going to do that, because that's not helping me at all. That's just making it worse. So I want to, if anything out of the story, I want you to choose, of all the things that's happened to you, to change your mindset regarding being that survivor. Like, you survived whatever that is, and you can survive and make it through these next steps of your life. Because for one, you have this awesome team that's going to support you through tons of stuff. And that you're just so overall a great person, and that you guys can make it through this. And that's, you know, that's the biggest things that I wanted to share tonight. So be resilient. You can do it. Thank you so much for letting me speak. That was kind of like everything in a nutshell. Do you guys have any questions for me?
I love when you talk, Janell.
I can't hear you. What?
I love it when you talk.
Thank you.
Sorry, I don't want to cut Chrissy off. I think she has something to say.
Oh, yeah. Janell, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I know how hard it was, and it brought back so much. Like, that time that we had together, as crappy as the floods were, like, you just coming and sharing your story and how you went through things, and this exact mindset that you had to get through all this is why I am where I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, I'm a crier. That's what I do.
There was a point I was like, okay, I gotta pull this together real quick.
You guys, look how powerful this job is. Janell is my personally sponsored coach. She signed up under me, but she is changing my life just as much as I'm changing hers. So we don't sign up just to change someone else's life. Like, we work together and change each other's lives. Like, that's so powerful. And so, yeah, you just brought that back. Like, because I would not be where I am today. I would not have anything that I have right now if we had not spent that time together. You helped me with my marriage. You helped me with my fitness. You helped me with my journey with God. All while you were going through all that too. We leaned into each other, and that's why we're here.
Yeah.
So that's all I had to say.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. And I honestly, when Haley asked me yesterday, or not yesterday, but last week, I was like, you should talk about resiliency. And I was like, okay. And I didn't even know for sure what to talk about or what to say. And I was like, I'm just going to go with it and whatever comes to my mind. So this was completely, like, there was a couple things that I wrote down on the characteristics, but this was completely me winging it and bringing you my story. And I hope that you guys were able to get something out of it, and connect with yourself, and be a boss, be a badass. You can do this. Oh, by the way, I've lost 57 pounds in that year too. And that was part of the reason my ex left me, because he didn't like me losing weight.
Bye.
Lost.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, can you guys hear me? Okay, yeah. Okay, so I just wanted to say, Janell taught me, because she is a counselor, the difference between what we do as coaches versus like what she does as a counselor, which she's now a coach too, so now she does both. But we are not like those people that, like, we're not educated in counseling people as far as like the mental health type stuff. What we're here to do is inspire each other by starting with ourselves first, taking care of ourselves. And if that means like for ourselves going and seeing a counselor and then coming back and sharing what we've learned, that's different versus us trying to like be somebody's counselor. You know what I mean? And I think it's so cool to hear everybody else's story, because it shows just the power that we do have as coaches. Like, yeah, we're not therapists or counselors or anything like that, which I personally don't want to be. That's why I'm coaching, you know, and you can do both, like Janell, you know, it's for everybody. But I just want to inspire people by using my own story. And so she she clarified that, like, and it was such a huge light bulb for me to just realize, like, wow, the weight of the world, the weight of everybody else's just struggles doesn't have to be on my shoulders. That's not my job. My job is to take care of myself and to share what's working with me or for me, and to just share it with the people that I love and to support them as they go through whatever they're going through, you know? So she seriously has taught me so much. If you guys want to like follow her social media or whatever, but I just wanted to share that because that was huge for me. I personally, it's a huge weight for me to when people are sharing what they're going through, because you just want to give them a solution. You just want to help them, right? But it was just a huge relief for me to realize, like, it's not my job to do it for them. It's just my job to offer it and inspire them by doing it myself. So thank you, Janell, seriously, for just being here. And thank you guys for showing up. Do you guys have anything else that you want to say?
I did want to say real fast that I was seeing my own counselor. So like being a part of this group was the inspiring piece that I need to do and the accountability piece. But like I was seeing a counselor through all this and working through my emotional piece to it too. So I just wanted you to be aware of that, because Haley's right. You guys don't have to be counselors, and don't try to be counselors, because that's a whole different ballgame in itself. But it just really gives you a chance to take that weight off yourself, that you don't have to figure out these pieces. Whoever you're working with, you don't have to figure out those problems, but you can be inspiring. And you can be inspiring to them and not have to sit there and solve all their issues, you know. Although we are helping people, or we wouldn't be in this profession, right? That's what we do. We want to help. We want to do that, but we also have to remember we have to take care of ourselves as well. So.
Right, and that's like perfect to kind of end this call, because we are in such a crazy time right now. Don't feel like you can't offer this opportunity to people. Like, I don't want you guys to feel like you need to back down because of everything that's going on right now. Think about the power of like what Janell has gone through. So many people are going through so much pain and hurt right now, and we just have so much support. And I think I pride myself so hard on Elevate Your Roots, and I hope you guys do too, because the support in the community in there is amazing. And imagine what that can do for other people. So don't think about this as a burden on people. I just want you guys to remember that, because you could be offering someone a support system that they don't have right now. And that's huge for people. Like, it doesn't have to be challenge packs. You don't have to be just like taking people's money or whatever, you know, sign them up with a 3-month bod. It's whatever works for that specific person. Just, we need to get people the support right now. People need the support and the love. So I just don't want you guys to back down, because I know, like, I felt like I needed to back down because I needed to provide that space for, you know, people of color to speak up and use their voice. But that doesn't mean we back down on providing support for people that need it right now. So, yeah. So thank you guys so much. Wait, before we get off, I didn't forget. Let's do a boomerang. Hold on, honey. You're just